My parents lied about needing surgery money, bought my sister a luxury car instead, and now they're begging me for forgiveness. Parents lied about needing money for surgery, but used it to buy my sister a car. So I cut them off, and now they're desperate to reconcile. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I've always been the type to help my family whenever they needed it. I grew up in a house where we weren't well off, but we got by. I worked hard, put myself through college, and landed a decent job that pays well. So when my parents came to me saying they needed money for an emergency surgery, I didn't hesitate. It was for my dad, supposedly. A heart surgery that wasn't fully covered by insurance. How could I say no? Son, we hate to ask you for this. My dad had said on the phone, his voice heavy with what I thought was shame. But it's a matter of life and death. The hospital's demanding $15,000 up front for the surgery. We've scraped together most of it, but we're short $8,000. It was a huge ask, but again, it was for my dad's health. I couldn't bear the thought of something happening to him, so I wired the money the next day. My parents thanked me profusely, saying they'd pay me back as soon as they could. I didn't really care about getting it back at that point. My dad's health was the priority. Weeks passed, and every time I asked how my dad was doing, my mom would deflect, giving vague answers like he's recovering or he's doing better. But something didn't sit right with me. There were no details. No mention of follow-up appointments. No updates about his health. Just generic replies. Then one day, I found out the truth in the most painful way possible. My younger sister, who I always had a strained relationship with, posted on Instagram. She just bought a brand new car, a shiny, top-of-the-line vehicle that I knew she could never afford on her own. She's always been the spoiled one. My parents would bend over backward to give her what she wanted, even if it meant sacrificing my needs in the process. I stared at that post, my blood boiling. I couldn't shake the feeling that my money was involved. So I called her up, straight to the point. Hey, where'd you get the money for the car? I asked, my voice tight. She laughed like it was no big deal. Oh, didn't Mom and Dad tell you? They helped me out with the down payment. It's not a big deal, really. I needed a new car. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I stayed calm, even though I wanted to lose it on the spot. Where'd they get the money? There was silence on the other end of the line, and then she sighed, almost annoyed. They said they had some savings set aside for it or something. Why do you care? That's when it hit me. That money I sent for my dad's surgery, money I thought was saving his life, wasn't for any surgery at all. It was for my sister's goddamn car. I hung up on her, seething, and called my mom immediately. What the hell is going on? I asked as soon as she picked up. You told me you needed money for dad's surgery. Did you lie to me? There was a pause, and then my mom started stammering. Well, honey, it was kind of a misunderstanding. Your father's fine. He didn't need the surgery after all, so we thought it'd be okay to use some of the money for your sister. A misunderstanding? I was furious. You flat out lied to me. You used me. That money was for a surgery, not to buy her a car. My mom tried to calm me down, saying, we were going to tell you, but then your sister really needed help with the car. You know, she's had so many problems with her old one. We didn't think you'd mind. I didn't think I'd mind? Are you serious? You took $8,000 from me under the pretense that Dad's life was in danger, and then you spent it on her? I could barely get the words out. I was so angry. She just kept making excuses. It's not like we don't appreciate what you did. We'll pay you back eventually. Your sister really needed this. I was done. I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. I had always known they favored her, but this was on another level. They had manipulated me, lied to my face, and spent my hard-earned money on something so frivolous when I thought it was saving my father's life. I hung up, unable to even deal with their lies anymore. For the next few days, I tried to cool off, but it kept eating away at me. My parents didn't reach out to apologize or explain further. They just pretended like nothing had happened. That's when I made the decision. I was cutting them off. No more money, no more help, no more involvement. I couldn't trust them anymore. When I finally texted my mom and dad to tell them how I felt, my message was clear. You lied to me. You used me, and I'm done with it. Don't expect anything from me going forward. I'm cutting ties until you can own up to what you've done. The response I got was worse than I expected. Instead of an apology, they sent back defensive messages claiming I was overreacting, that family sticks together, and I was being selfish for holding a grudge. Selfish. That's the word they used to describe me after everything I had done for them. Over the next couple of months, I ignored every call, every message, every attempt they made to pull me back in. They tried guilt-tripping me, telling me how hard things were for them, how my sister was struggling to make ends meet with her new car payments. I didn't care. I had been burned for the last time. Then came the unexpected part. I got a call from my sister, and to my surprise, she wasn't her usual entitled self. She sounded nervous. "Hey," she started, her voice soft. "I wanted to talk to you about everything." I stayed silent, waiting for her to continue. "Look, I didn't know about the surgery thing. Mom and Dad didn't tell me that they took money from you for it. I just thought they were helping me out. If I had known, I wouldn't have let them do it." I didn't know what to say. Was this her way of apologizing, or was she just covering her own ass now that things had gone south? I decided to hear her out. "I'm really sorry," she continued. "I get why you're mad, and you have every right to be. I don't know how to fix it." For the first time, I heard something real in her voice. Guilt. Maybe it wasn't all her fault, but that didn't mean I was ready to let her or my parents off the hook. "I appreciate you saying that," I said after a long pause. "But it doesn't change what happened. They lied to me, and you benefited from it, whether you knew or not. I'm not ready to just forget that." She seemed to accept that, and we hung up on a somewhat civil note. But it didn't change my mind about my parents. They hadn't owned up to their part in any of this. Weeks later, I got another message, this time from my dad. It was short but desperate. "Please talk to us. We're sorry for everything. We miss you." I thought about replying, but I didn't. They had lied to me, used me, and made me feel like I was nothing more than a bank to them. I wasn't ready to forgive that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Cutting them off was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I knew it was necessary. Sometimes family doesn't mean what it's supposed to. Sometimes you have to choose your own peace over blood ties. If they ever really want to make things right, they know what they have to do. Until then, I'm moving forward on my own terms. By the way, if you've read all the way to the end, go ahead and subscribe. Trust me, I've got more stories like this coming.